Well, how about that? If you were the Mumbai Indians and you know that your favorites going into this tournament, but you've never won an opening day fixture in 8 attempts, and you've got 159 for it against Royal Challengers Bangalore on what looks like a very familiar Chennai surface. It makes for a fascinating halftime chat on ESPN Cricket Info T20 Time Out, powered by Intel with Sanjay Manjrekar, Dale Steyn, and Daniel Vettori. And let's start with the story of Harshal Patel. And trades tend to surprise us at the start of tournaments. They tend to, at times, be for the Mumbai Indians. But a trade from Delhi to Bangalore, Sanjay, with Harshal Patel returning his best IPL figures. 5-wicket haul for him to keep Mumbai to 159. Thoughts?
I mean, my heart went out to him. These are guys who fly under the radar, low profile cricketers, don't quite get the spotlight. They're used to seeing the other guys get, all the fanfare and stuff. And so congratulations to RCB's team management that they chose Harshal Patel ahead of somebody like Steyn, who's been playing for them and is the bigger name. And I hope, this becomes a trend and becomes a culture in IPL where the T20 smartness of a bowler counts more than just potential and raw pace.
We speak about death bowling and RCB. Dale, 35 of the last 4 wickets included in that.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's what you want. And you need, sometimes you need a bit of luck, So Harsha runs in, he bowls a full toss, and Hardik on any other day could hit that for a boundary. He gets a wicket, and all of a sudden it just stops the momentum and turns it completely in RCB's favour. And then just from there, it just seemed like it was difficult for them to get going. So small things like that have a major change in the game. Growing confidence, and you can tell in that last over how confident he was with the ball in his hand by the end.
Yeah, there were a lot of things that Virat Kohli would have wanted to get right in his first 20 overs of this tournament. And Kyle Jameson, how's he going to bowl on an Indian pitch, especially if it's like Chepauk? Harshal Patel's been given the responsibility to bowl at the death. Are those both tick marks?
I think the wicket certainly helped them a lot. I wouldn't get too carried away with the bowling performance. I think that wicket was ideal for Harshal in terms of his ability to bowl slow balls, and he did execute his Yorkers, and also for Kyle Jamieson, I think he would have dreamed about that slowness of the surface, his ability to whack it in hard and hit his length. So I still think it's going to be a tough score to chase down, and I think the wicket will get tougher and tougher. The surprising thing for me was that it was the seamers who did all the damage, not the spinners.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So now that takes me to a question that I usually ask first on a mid-inning show on what sort of score this is, because it did look like after Mumbai started with just 12 of their first 3 overs that this could be another 150 sort of 160 game. The commentary on air was suggesting 150 would be great. So Sanjay, Mumbai have found their way to 159. They've lost wickets and not had that big finish towards the end, but this is still a good score.
It depends on how the pitch now plays out in the next about 90 minutes or a little more, because there is a tendency for Indian pitches under lights with the coolness of the night. I know Chennai never gets cool, but when it gets to 9 p.m., 10 p.m., the pitch tends to play a little better. I don't know whether the dew will come down. That Harshal Patel was able to take the pace off in his final over. Seems like the dew hasn't quite made its appearance. So you would think that is a score RCB should get, because my feeling is that Mumbai Indians had the slight disadvantage batting first on a pitch like this, and that's why after winning the toss, Virat wanted to field first. So you might think that might just be a little under par.
All right, Dale, let me get your thoughts on this surface. Is 159 under par, or does it seem like good runs given the sort of bowling attack Mumbai have as well?
Look, yeah, first game of the season is almost like the final, in a way. Everyone's got the same kind of nerves at the start of the season as they would when they were playing for a trophy. So there are runs on the board, and it's never easy to chase anything over 160. Mumbai are going to have to bowl well. They've got some good bowlers. They've got Bumrah, Marco Jansen making his debut. Might be interesting for RCB to see how they go about that. But they probably are 20 runs short. 10 to 15, 20 runs short, somewhere there. So I'll put my money on RCB, but any run chase around 160 is always going to be tough.
Could there have been a case to perhaps approach the innings differently in the not so traditional Mumbai Indians way, Dan, where they tend to go hard and worst come worst, everyone's going at 140 today because we can all admit it wasn't as easy to bat on. But could they have played a different game today where someone looks to anchor and everyone bats around them? It doesn't seem to be the Mumbai way to go, but is that what this surface would have demanded?
Well, I think Chris Lynn unintentionally did that. You could see how difficult it was for him to bat. His timing was off almost from his first ball, and he put together a relatively subdued innings for Chris's standards. I think Suryakumar Yadav is the only one who's come in and been able to time the ball straight away. He was busy from the start, and his style of innings is the sort of innings that someone from RCB needs to replicate, albeit to go for a little bit longer. But I actually thought Mumbai played pretty well for the first 15 overs, and then Harshal Patel at the end, they took wickets, and it shows you what wickets do at the death. So I still think it's a very good score on this wicket, and it's going to be up to someone, as usual, in that top order for RCB to get the score.
All right. Perhaps more fairer judgment after we've seen RCB bat on this, Sanjay?
See, what I saw on today's surface, and I was really keen to look at the pitch because CSK is not playing the game. So I wanted to look at this Chennai pitch when India is not playing on it or CSK is not playing on it. And I didn't see turn. Although we didn't see too much of spin. We saw 4 of Chahal and Washington bowl, just the 1 over, I think so. We didn't see much of spin. And every time spin came along, Chris Lynn, got into the act. And there was a time when, to subdue Lynn, you got spin. But today, most of his scoring shots came against spin. So I'd like to think that this pitch is still different. It was a little sticky. And that's where Harshal Patel and Jamieson did a wonderful job. They used the stickiness in the pitch. If it turns a little more, then you have the added advantage for Mumbai Indians when the seam bowlers using the slowness of the pitch and the ball turning for the spinners. But I didn't see it turn. That's why I believe it might just be a slightly under par score, considering the overhead conditions also will have some effect on the pitch getting a little easier to bat second time round.
It's interesting that we make the point that Chennai is a slow pitch or it tends to turn, but like Dan and Sanjay have both said, Dale, the spinners didn't have as big a say on these first 20 overs as the quicks did. But will all sort of quicks enjoy it? Kyle Jameson seemed to get a lot out of it. Harshal Patel did. You think of Trent Bolt now. I liken him a lot to the sort of impact that you would have. Likes to swing the ball. Is this the sort of pitch that he could be effective on?
Yeah, well, Trent's going to run in. He's going to try and swing the ball. He's going to bowl these 4 overs up early, and they're going to use him in the first 6. That's how they use Trent. But when the seamer seemed to bowl, it was like the change of pace that also was quite effective. And that's where Linny kind of lost his momentum. He just couldn't get it away. He's always looking for pace on the ball. And then as soon as the spinners came on, like Sanjay said, there wasn't any spin. He was able to get hold of them a little bit. So, Mumbai are going to have to bowl smartly. The pitch doesn't really seem to change a lot in 2020, but if it does, there could be a little bit of spin. And then there's the dew factor. Unfortunately, I'm not there to see if there's any dew. But if there's a bit of dew, it's going to be difficult to bowl second, and we'll skid on a little bit more.
You just feel like, Sanjay, that Hardik Pandya, the bowler, and Bumrah, of course, maybe a handful if the conditions stay the same.
Not Bumrah. Bumrah is never at his best in the first. I'm kidding, because the numbers of Bumrah are very interesting. When you look at the first game Bumrah plays in an IPL, it is sort of one of the worst games that he's played in the whole season. And as the matches go on, he just gets better and better, and then ends up being the great T20 bowler that he is. So whether Bumrah will again, prove the numbers right and doesn't have a great game, we'll wait and see. But the likes of, Hardik Pandya, who bowls that tennis ball kind of short delivery, I think that will be used a lot. I don't think the pitch will turn that much for Krunal Pandya, so he might be underused, and you'll see a lot of bowlers. Maybe Pollard might, bowl 1 or 2 overs. I don't know how the young man Johnson, so we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But Trent Bolt is equipped to take the pace off. But this is a pitch where you expect somebody like Hardik Pandya to bowl his 4 overs, as he's done for India of late.
Okay, well, they've got Pollard as well. Now, Dan, are they still employing the same fielding drills that you used to do with the RCB a few years back?
It was a bit 50-50 out there, wasn't it? It actually looked like a couple of times that they weren't picking it up as well as they should have, which is unusual at Chepauk. It's a good viewing ground, but obviously things changed a little bit with no crowd in there. When most teams review their seasons, they find a way to bring it back to drop catches, and drop catches just cost teams so much. And so I think I know it's first game and people seem to brush past it, but it becomes such a big factor in the deciding of games that they need to rectify that as soon as possible.
Quickly,
All
can I
right.
butt in, Raunak? And
Yes,
this is something
please.
that I'm tempted to say. When you see the IPL season begin, you also see the beginning of a season of drop catches. Now, I'd like to ask Dan and Dale whether they are also sort of amazed by how many catches we see getting dropped, especially the simpler ones that go straight up in the air, or is it because we see a lot of matches one after the other, and that's why you tend to think there are too many drop catches that we're getting to see? Is it a matter of concern for all team managements?
Well, I mean, in Dubai last year, there was a ton of catches dropped, and then after the IPL there was a T10 tournament that was there, and I also haven't seen so many drop catches in a tournament before. So maybe the grounds that you're playing at and not being familiar with them and the lights being in different places can cause an issue, but catches win matches, and it was difficult last year in Dubai. But hopefully the boys will just start to get better and better through the season in India.
Well, I mean, Washington Sundar dropped one of those catches. He's played a lot of his cricket at the Chepauk.
The best thing, Raunak, there was Siraj was glaring down at Washington Sundar for dropping that catch, and poetic justice in this sport. Mohammad Siraj drops the next one.
All right, and the third one went down of Virat Kohli himself. We've seen that before. Kohli tends to drop a few catches. Unfortunately, this one it's going to stay with him for a few days. You think nasty one right on the face. But as you speak of the role Virat Kohli would have to play with bat, Sanjay, 160 sort of chase on what could be a challenging surface, just the perfect sort of stage for Virat Kohli to start now, especially that he's opening.
Yeah, poor fellow deserved this, because this is where he's really great, chasing down targets. And as captain, he hasn't won too many tosses, so he's not been able to do that. So yes, this is right down his lane.
All right. The approach from everyone else is go hard and let Kohli sort of bat, or how do you set in on this sort of pitch? It does look challenging, Dan. You've said that.
Well, I think RCB probably regretting not playing extra batsman. I mean, Shabazz Ahmed only bowling one over, so I think they'll want their top order to do it. I don't think with sort of Christian coming in at 5, potentially Washington Sundar at 6. I don't think they'll want to leave them too many. They'll see those guys as finishers when they bat first. And this sort of chase, it's Kohli, it's De Villiers, it's the usual too. So let's hope they get it done for RCB.
Yeah, every time Glenn Maxwell goes for big money at an auction, he'll go to a new franchise. There's this huge burden of expectation. It's not the sort of pitch you want for your first knock in the IPL, Max. For Glenn Maxwell, is it, Dale?
No, definitely not. And he doesn't want to come in when they're chasing like 10 or 11 and over either. I mean, we saw how difficult it was here at the end. The last bunch of wickets were all caught in the boundary. It shows that timing is a little bit difficult. And Maxi doesn't want to walk in there when the scores are like chasing 10 to 12 to 14 and over, because that's normally what he does. But on this wicket, it would be incredibly difficult. So, you're going to have to score their runs in the first 10, 12 overs, and then try and keep it easy from there with wickets in hand, because if they're slogging at the end, it's going to be extremely difficult.
I'm sure Raunak,
very interestingly,
glimpse of who's opening.
Absolutely. Virat Kohli doesn't tend to surprise us with tactics and whatnot, but Devdutt Padikal's not playing this game, and they play Rajat Patidar as the specialist top order batsman, though he's decided that Washington Sundar, who has opened for Tamil Nadu in domestic cricket in the shorter formats, is going to partner Virat Kohli at the top. So it's a very interesting move. Sanjay, thoughts? Washington coming out to open the bat.
Yeah, good move, because this is the time to sort of just make your job easier, which is likely to get tougher a little later with Mumbai Indians using their slow bowlers to get the pace off. So while the ball is hard and new, and Washington Sundar has the ability to hit the good balls for 4, so not a bad move at all.
Dan, you'd endorse that? He's playing at his home ground.
Yeah, great move. I think it's exactly what they need, and it could set something up for the rest of the tournament. The ability to use Washington Sundar. He only bowled one over today, but I think his worth is as an all-round cricketer, and we could see it at the top of the order tonight.
All right, it does keep the right-left hand combination intact even in the absence of Padikkal. So Rajat Patidar will have to wait his turn, which then begs me to just one more question. When would you like AB de Villiers to be walking in here? To be handling a chase or steering a chase towards the end, or come in as soon as he possibly can, even if a wicket falls in the first couple of overs? Dale?
Yeah, I want to see AB bat. I mean, if he's your best batter, you want to give him the most amount of deliveries to face. We saw a game last year where, strategically they tried to use left-handers before him, and he had to go out and create a miracle. Couldn't do it. So they'll learn from that, RCB, and they'll give him the opportunity to get himself in and bat long. I think that's when you want to see AB with his batting.
Very well. Thank you very much to Dale Steyn, Sanjay Manjrekar, and Dan Vettori. I can reveal now that it's a plague in Chepauk. It's exactly like how the IPL started last time. Rohit Sharma's put one down at second slip, which you'd think he'd take 9 out of 10 times. So the catching continues to disappoint in the first 2 hours or so of this year's tournament. Let's pick up this chat with Sanjay, Dale, and Dan at the end of it. Before I leave you, favorites for this? Bangalore, Sanjay, going for Bangalore to chase this?
Yes, despite them not having that deep a batting lineup, I just think maybe Mumbai is slightly under par.
All right, Dale?
Yeah, I'm going to go with RCB. They've got some good momentum with the ball at the back end there, and they'll take it into the batting.
Dan, something tells me you're not as confident about RCB's chances.
I think it's a very difficult chase with Mumbai's bowling attack and on this wicket.
All right, let's pick up the chat at the end of the game. It's an opportunity for Virat Kohli, and he's tried something new with Washington Sundar up top. See if it works, and we'll discuss all of it on ESPN Cricket for T20 Time Out, powered by Intel. So do join us then.